Now, here we go. Hi, we're live. We were having technical difficulties, but we're with you now. I'm Virginia Amos. This is From Our House to Yours, and today we are talking with Leslie Anderson of Leslie Anderson Interiors. And I want to tell you just briefly how I met her. I was first introduced to her work on Instagram, which is a wonderful place to find things. And I had a listing coming up here in Delray, and it was a pretty typical Delray row house, 2 bedrooms, 1 bath. And I knew that while it was going to sell, that it needed something to just make it pop a little from what I have normally seen. So I thought, I'm going to see if Leslie can help me. She does a lot of luxury properties, so I wasn't sure she would take me on, but she did. I was really grateful. She came over and she took a look. She came up with a plan. I sent it to my client who happened to be in California, and all it took was for her to look at Leslie's website and see this beautiful teal and we were under contract in 5 days. So that was right at the beginning of our quarantine. And so I thought it'd be a great idea to have Leslie come back with us today and talk about how her business has changed, and yet how she's still working to help both homeowners and realtors get their property on the market. So welcome, Leslie. We're so glad to have you.
Thank you very much. I'm excited to be here, and what a great platform. As Virginia mentioned, I really enjoyed working with her on her listing, and it's just such a fun thing to be in the city and work on these places that have such charming neighborhoods and quaint little spaces. It's fun to bring those spots to life, and I think that's what we did, and we had some success there. But as you mentioned, life has taken a transition for all of us and for all of our businesses. And so while we are not necessarily going into homes and doing stagings like we used to be doing, what we've done to kind of refocus our businesses is we've started an online process. And so I have a scheduler where people can go into my scheduler and schedule an appointment. We have multiple different scheduling options. And what I like to do is I start out with a free 30-minute staging call. And so we get some initial information from the homeowners. We ask them to send just a couple of pictures. And typically when people are getting their homes ready to sell, as you know, homes can be in disarray. And we start out by saying, no judgment, we are just here to help. And so a couple of photos just help us get all of the things in order that we want to talk about. So we'll start with a initial free 30-minute call. And after that call, it kind of just explains like the process of how we're going to help them stage their home. Because at this point, normally what we would do is we would go into a home and walk room by room with the sellers. And the sellers can take notes, we take photos, and we literally go through the entire house and just talk about whether or not some pieces need to be purged, some pieces need to be moved or rearranged to another room, how we're going to open up the room with some light, how we're going to display some artwork, where we're going to put lamps, things like that. So we're really physically talking about how we're going to restructure the home just so it can photograph at its best potential. And so with doing that, since we can't be there physically, now what we're doing is after that free 30-minute call, I send out a list of instructions on taking actual photos of each room. So basically, we're going to ask that the sellers go into each corner of the room and take as wide of an angle as possible. And that way I can see the entire room. And so then once I have the photos, I'm able to look at them. Then we schedule a Zoom call. And during that Zoom call, we do basically what we do when we're physically there. We have the homeowner walk around with their phone. We talk about the room, and we talk about, same thing. Like, what would I do with this room right now? Okay. So I might say, let's pack up that rug. It's been well loved. And let's just show, if you have nice wooden floors, let's just show the floors, which is a selling feature. And then after you have your photos done, you can put, your rugs back or however you need to live in the space. We talk about making beds. What's the proper way to make a bed? If we have children and they're young, they probably have bright, bold bedrooms. And so one of the things that I like to do is just say, don't worry about that. Let's just see if we can put like a white blanket down and then fold that colorful piece at the back of the bed. So it's okay to have some color, but let's just see if we can minimize it a little bit so that the buyers are not distracted. So we go through every single room. I send them ahead of time. I have a couple sheets and PDFs that we send out, and basically it just talks about cleaning your home, things that you don't think about, light switches and faucets and door handles and windows, things that
lights.
Yes, exactly. Things that we're not doing every day, but buyers are going to walk in and they might see it. So there's fingerprints everywhere when you're selling your home. So it's just a good checklist. And so it just goes through everything, even on the exterior. So what are they going to see when they walk up, or what's your photograph going to be when you walk up? Is it going to be, freshly cut bushes, no spider webs on your lights, things like that. So basically we give them all these checklists. They can get their homes prepared nice and neat. And then during the consultation, we go through each room and arrange it and tell them, they make a list of what, our recommendations are. And I'm also recording the call. So if they need to refer back to the call, we can do that. To take it one step further, we can write it all up for them and say, okay, this is what we talked about. In case you don't remember, if you need me to list it out, I'm happy to do that. And I can write that up and send that to them as well. The other thing that has been working really well and has been, a lot of real estate agents love this part of it is, normally on an occupied staging, we might come in with some fresh, clean towels, white towels, or fresh pillows. When you are making a bed, we might not like to sleep with the big, stiff, fluffy pillows, but I'm telling you, they make all the difference for photos. So I have a list of items that are ready to go. I can send the list to to the sellers, and basically it's like shopping at Amazon. I have everything all selected for you, and it might be at Wayfair, it might be at Amazon. You just check off what you need. If I say I would recommend getting 3 sets of towels, then you can just go ahead and buy that and have it shipped to your home, and it's ready to go. And so that's what we do. Then we talk about how to fold a towel in a bathroom, how to roll a towel in a bathroom, how to make your beds. And, it's very picture perfect by the time we're all finished.
Gosh, that's like having a fairy godmother come in and say, bibbidi boppidi boop, this is what you do.
Exactly.
Oh, how nice. How nice. I think that's probably one of the hardest things for homeowners is to divorce themselves from what they have and be able to create a vision, not for themselves, but for the buyer.
Right.
I know I had somebody here in the neighborhood tell me one time, and I keep this in the back of my head and I use it with clients. And she said, when you list your house, it's no longer yours.
That's right.
It belongs to the public.
That's right.
So it's a great way to think about it.
It is, because you don't want people to walk in and feel like a guest in your home. You want them to walk in and see that as their home. And that's what we do when we come in. We're basically coming in as the eyes of the buyer. And so that's why we can be extremely honest and say what we see, because ultimately that's going to help you in the end get your best price for that house. And for the most part, get it sold.
That's a great way to think about it, having that second set of eyes.
Yeah.
And I know you did, there was some talking about the bathroom. You did a few things in the bathroom that I really appreciated, like putting, you rolled up a dish washcloth and you had it in the little thing in the where this bar of soap would go.
Right.
In the shower.
Right.
Which just didn't leave it empty. It filled up a space, but it was soft, and those details just make such a difference.
Yeah, there are a lot of in older homes, you have a lot of cutouts and a lot of things that aren't, that you kind of have to be a little bit creative with how you're going to display them. But at the same time, that's kind of the charm of that house. And I think it's so important to keep those things in mind, not only for the style of the home, but also for the demographic of the neighborhood. There are a lot of gardeners in that neighborhood, and just to be able to recognize that and display flowers in the house, different things like that. That's kind of what we specialize in doing.
You really have to come in with, I guess, kind of a open eyes and a blank mind in some ways until you see the space and what actually speaks to you about what you need to do with it.
One of the tips that I like to give to sellers is, and this works out well in this whole process, but take your iPhone and just shoot a photo of your room, and you're going to realize how the photo is going to look online. You think that the room looks great, but when you take a photo on your phone, it's totally different. So
you see something in the corner that you thought wasn't good,
or it just looks really far away. Or if you think you have all these nice little knickknacks on a table and they're smaller than the fist of your hand, they're not even going to show up in your photo. So it's you need to bring in some larger accessories and place them in areas that make sense. Instead of scattered all out, we're just going to do little groupings of 3 and make sure that they're large enough to actually be seen.
That's really smart. So my mind is going blank. I had something I was going to ask you. You did talk about being a second set of eyes, which I love. And I was asking you too, if you, for instance, go in with a realtor, even beforehand, let's say there's some physical things that need to be done, but you're always, as an agent, I'm always conscious of spending my clients' money and wanting them to get the best return for what we do. So how would you work with an agent to go in and say, well, look, if you can replace you don't need to replace the cabinets, but if you replace the countertops in the kitchen, it will make a huge difference.
Yes. So a lot of times it's hard to build credibility when you're trying to be the expert at everything.
Yeah.
And so what we do with our agent partners is exactly what you said. We're that extra set of eyes. We're in a lot of homes. We're seeing it. And I also do design on this, in my business as well. So I'm very, up on all of the design trends. And so that's, I know a lot of agents really like that too, because, that's not something that's, necessarily in their wheelhouse. So, so we like to be able to provide just an option. So it might be that, you know what, I don't think you need to replace the cabinets, but maybe you could paint them and create a whole different look. Or if you painted the cabinets and, work within your budget, painted the cabinets, replace the counter, that might make this go a lot further. Or for example, in the space that we were looking at together, if you're going to replace the counters, can we extend it a little bit and create a little, bar area here? So it provides a little bit of extra seating, different things like that. I think it just, you just are able to give a little bit different perspective. And I know my agent partners really appreciate it.
That was such a, the minute you said that about extending the counter where the bar was, it made such perfect sense. As it turns out, unfortunately, we had already had that piece of stone cut, but I understood instantly what you were talking about.
Yeah.
It was having you look at it differently, because I had been in the house so many times by that point. And I knew what I wanted to do, so I was kind of on a certain path. And then, to have that different set of eyes, it really made a difference.
Yeah.
It really made a difference. So how did you get started in this business?
Well, so, as most of us that are in this business, people come into our homes and they find themselves feeling very comfortable in my home. So I would have strangers or friends come over, and they would just express how, that they felt very comfortable here, and it was just warm and inviting. And then they'd ask me to come help them with their own homes. Come help me make my home feel like this. I recently just had a service contractor here, and he was, it kind of made me laugh, but he said, I just love being here. And, and they're in homes all day, right? So they're going from home to home. So it kind of does make you realize that, okay, it really is, a true feeling. And that's what we do when we stage homes. We want that feeling to come across to the buyers. So I just felt, I took that and I ran with it. And I knew that if I was going to get into the staging business, I really wanted to do it right. So I became certified and became involved in our local real estate staging association. And, it's just been great. Every time I do a property, I get 3 or 4 more referrals. So
I'm sure
an awesome thing.
Everybody who saw what you did was they were thrilled with it, which made me feel great. Position on my part. One of the things that we did talk about is that right now, people aren't going on the market, and there's some people who are waiting. There are a lot of interior projects and exterior projects that are getting done that maybe people have put off. And you always hear that painting is one of the best things you can do to give your house a lift, to give yourself a lift, to change things up. And so I know what I like, and it's really changed over the years, but I'm just curious, what are some, not only the most popular neutrals right now, I would say, but also things that you find both soothing and kind of classic. They're not, I know that they come out with the color of the year every year.
Right.
It changes the next year. So what are those colors that are really going to be trending for the next several years, and that you find easy to work with?
So there's 2 different things. There are colors, paint colors for your home if you're going to sell your home, and there are paint colors for your home if you're going to live there. 2 different things.
All right. Well, let's talk about selling first, and then we'll wrap up with living.
That's what's so important, because color trends are going to be colorful, and they're already coming out with 2021 colors, and they are bold and bright and dark greens. And so, that's not what I would recommend in your home if you're going to sell it. One of the things that has been happening over the course of this last year and into 2020 is, everybody asks, is gray going to stay? Is gray going to stay? And, I don't think it's going to go away incredibly soon, but yet we are seeing a movement back into some of the tans and, grayish, if you want to call it that, but warming it up a little bit again, and or just to go neutral. And, a lot of the millennials like just solid neutrals, white walls, or what have you. I've found a color that I love, and it's Benjamin Moore. It's intense white. The name doesn't do any justice, because it's really got a lot of gray tones in it. So grays are really hard to work with, and a lot of them turn blue. It all depends on the amount of light that's in your home. So, and a lot of them turn out to be darker than what you really had in mind. This color is, it's really nice because it's not stark white, which I think is very hard to work with, especially if you have white furniture and white walls. And yes, it's clean, but it's hard. But this color is a little bit of a gray tone underneath it. So it keeps everything a little bit warm, but yet it's very, very, very neutral. So that's one I like. And Sherwin-Williams has one called Crushed Ice. Same thing. They're almost two of the same color. Just a little bit of a tint of a gray tone to it, little tannish gray.
Now, is that for a wall color or
a wall color? Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I would still do white, Yeah. Okay. So definitely. The thing with paint colors, you just really have to understand the underlying tones of what makes up that color. Because some neutrals have pinks in them, which you would never understand. But when you see it on the wall, you definitely can see a tinge of that color coming out, or purples. So even though a color might be gray, it has those undertones of pink or purple, and you got to be careful. And certain trim colors then don't look good with those.
Right.
So I'm going to be doing a segment next week on paint colors. And yeah, so it'll be good. It'll separate out like what to live with and what to sell your home with. And the other thing I will tell you is that, believe it or not, bathrooms, still the number one color for bathrooms to sell your home is in the blues, and just really a light blue.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, because
that
spa feel, people just want that, serenity, and they just find that with a really, really light blue. So
okay, and you're going to be doing that that thing on the program on colors on your Instagram channel, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we're gonna, we'll wrap up here, but I want to give people an opportunity to know where to get hold of you.
Mm-hmm.
So if you'll tell them the exact name of your company, although it's really simple, and the best places to find you online.
Okay, so just go to my website, which is Leslie Anderson Interiors with an S.com. And on the front page of my website, you can click on a button to schedule an appointment with me right there.
Oh, terrific. Terrific.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
And like I said, folks, I found Leslie on Instagram, and her photographs are just terrific. It's a great place to get inspiration, and her videos have been lovely. And I know you've done one on for people who are working from home, what their offices look like when Zoom is on.
Yeah, it's funny because everybody's on Zoom, and so you kind of have to pay attention to what's behind you. And it's really just when we see all the people on national media, and they're all in their homes, and I don't think some of them realize. So it's kind of funny, but
exactly what it looks like.
We've done that. We've done floral arrangements, just tips on, how to arrange grocery store floral arrangements. We've done exterior floral arrangements. So we're going to be doing paint next week. And then we're going to talk about gallery walls, how to put up a gallery wall in your home. I mean, everybody's home and they're working with their photos and painting. So we're just going to give tips on how to get that all done.
Oh, terrific. That sounds, you made a good pivot to just expand your business in other ways, which we're always looking to do.
Exactly.
And I thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you.
It took us a little bit to get started, but I think we pulled it off. And if you have questions or comments, you can leave them on my site. I'll be linking up with Leslie, and she'll have access to this video too. So we hope to hear from all of you. And Leslie, I hope we get to work together.
I do too.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.